Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today, and a happy St. Patrick's Day. And a luck of the Irish is with me because I'm lucky enough to be joined by Jason Blewett throughout this weekend. Jason, pleasure to work with you.
Yeah, it's great being here. St. Patty's Day, a little liqueur to open up the festivities here at Gulfstream Park, and it's an honor to be sitting next to a racing legend in this part of the country.
Well, thank you very much for the kind words. We're going to be drinking a lot of green beer later on in the day, but we got a lot to get to.
After the races, my friend. We're on the clock now, if you could call this work.
After the races. So, you know, today is Friday, and we do each and every Friday. We got Beat the Expert, and Gabby is up today. Gabby out of town along with Acacia up in Maryland. Big day of racing there tomorrow at our sister track up there in Laurel. But you can play Beat the Expert. You go to GulfstreamPark.com, hashtag Beat the Expert. You got a chance, if you can beat Gabby, which is very tough, you got a chance to win one of those sharp polo shirts which says Beat the Expert right in the sleeve, and you get to come over here when you come to the track and put it in our face.
No doubt. Gabby, tough to beat, though. As sharp as they come. Had the pleasure of working with Gabby all last summer during the Saratoga meet in upstate New York, and terrific analyst on the air, and we miss no doubt Acacia and Gabby with their Maryland trip, but it's good to be filling in, sitting next to you, and we've got a lot of ground to cover, my friend. Long, lengthy cards at Gulfstream Park.
And you know what? Tomorrow we got some great guarantees, that I want to offer you. We have a late pick 4, $250,000, late pick 5, $200,000, but the news is if they do not hit the Rainbow Six today, $900,000 jackpot guarantee. You can have it for 20%.
Sounds good.
20 cents, excuse me.
I'll take that for 20 cents all day long. A lot of money up for grabs here at Gulfstream Park in that Saturday card, by the way. 13 races in all, anchored by the Grade 2 Inside Information, of course, named for one of the real blue hens in the old Phipps dynasty, the Black and Cherry, a terrific winner of the Breeders' Cup Distaff back at Belmont Park in '95. She'll have her namesake here tomorrow, and again, those guaranteed wagers. Get involved in those at expressbet.com, my friend.
We've been beating them every week. You know, we go way beyond the guarantees. So, and if the Rainbow Six, and indeed $900,000 guarantee, only a 20-cent wager, and the pot at the end of the rainbow, it seems to fit with St. Patrick's Day this afternoon. Let's run through today's racing menu. We're going to start it off. We got the Rolling Super High Five. We got a carryover starting today, 21:47. That starts in race 1. And along with race number 1, we're going to have first of your 2 pick 5s today.
Yeah, my goal for this weekend, working with you Friday through Sunday at Gulfstream, is to get out of Miami not down 4 figures with these pick 5 plays. We'll take a little shot. We're going to play it for 50 cents. I do believe in race number 3, and she is the single in my ticket, the number 5 Cowtown Spirit, who, as I get more familiar with the claiming classes here down at Gulfstream Park, I have a feeling she'll be going home to a new barn when in for the 12-5 in race 3.
And of course, we have the Rainbow Six this afternoon, which starts in race number 6. And there's a nice carryover starting today, $612,000. So maybe you can take it down today, and as we mentioned, if not. And then finally, this afternoon, we'll have your second pick 5 ticket, which comes in race number 7 with an 11-race card.
Yeah, we're fast and firm. Plenty of turf sprinkled throughout the afternoon here at Gulfstream Park as we continue on, and just 15 days out from the expressbet.com Florida Derby. Should be a good one with Gunnavera coming back off that scintillating effort in the Fountain of Youth.
Amazing performance, and just a couple of weeks away. Always, it's great that the Florida Derby's coming up, but it's a little sad because it's the end of the championship meet.
Bittersweet in every sense of the word, correct?
First race today, 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Maiden claim is 4 and up, $50,000 down to $40,000. Scratch the main track only. A participant in here, number 8. 3 Star Stone. How'd you see this opening event?
Took a little shot with the number 5, Roll Again Question in race number 1.
And you used it on your pick 5
ticket? Of course, yeah. Pick the horse on top, and actually using 3 in this first race. The number 4, Blind Ruckus, who may have a pace advantage. We'll see after running well last time at 71-1. The number 5, Roll Again Question off the clean for Jane Sabelli. And the wild card of the group in the first, the number 6, Unbroken Chain. Again, fast forwarding to race number 3. this is a play for $54.50, anchored by the number 5 Cowtown Spirit, who I think 8-5 might be on the conservative side of things as far as the morning line. I thought she would go off maybe in odds-on territory and a likely winner of race 3.
Well, I've seen you've taken over for Acacia, who I usually do the early pick 5 with, and did not use my selection in here.
That's the main reason.
So let's see how it turned out.
I think you're nuts not picking the Cowtown Spirit on top. Her race 2 back should annihilate that field, but we'll talk about it.
Right.
It's a game of opinions, my friend, and let's dive into the first. What's going on?
I went with the 3 Hawk, who should be ready to score after returning from an almost 11-month layoff, switching from the Santa Anita main track to the turf and rallying to finish 4th, beating 1.5 lengths, level in distance. Eddie Keneally, Corey Lannery riding in great form. Put this one on top of my ticket, currently on the board very early in the wagering at 3-1. Now, you did go with the number 5, Roll Again Question.
Yes, who's off the claim for Jane Sabelli. She had a good Thursday here at Gulfstream Park, winning at least one race, one of them on the turf, and she's got this horse stepping up off of maiden 20. And my first inkling was, well, maybe this horse just doesn't class up to this field. But the more I looked at this 4-year-old gelding, I think his last race was very solid, and a case of him not having any position whatsoever from a very, very tough outside post. A nearly impossible trip to overcome. He nearly did it, losing a tough one. I'll take him on the bump up to maiden 50.
Well, let's go back and show you that performance is race 11 on February 16th, and we're talking about the 11 horse that day. And roll again question. Come to the top. We're going to pick it up at the top of the stretch, wide, just wide throughout. Comes through the lane and really runs well. You know, races wide in the stretch, and you said off that performance, does an incredible job. And at this part of me, it was really tough to win from these outside posts. And I thought this horse ran a bang up second, so I did use him on my ticket. I just didn't put him on top. Like I said, I went with the 3 Hawk.
Yeah, it's a rider upgrade off the claim for Sabelli to Paco Lopez, and I'd like to see this horse maybe get a more just forwardly placed trip from a much better post in a smaller field today, because even his race 2 back, he's got speed. He was a runoff that afternoon. I think we'll get that happy medium in the opener today, and I'll take him to hopefully run down the 4 Blind Ruckus, who did everything right. My condolences if you needed this one last time out at 70-1 plus when he just lost a tough one by a whisker.
Let's go to race 2 this afternoon. This one, 5.5 furlongs. These are claimers 4 and up, $6,250. Do have a scratch to let you know about here, and that is the 7 Zachary's Pitch. And this race is where we start our first of 2 pick 4s on the afternoon. We show you our pick 5 and Rainbow 6 tickets, but we have those great pick 4s that we offer throughout the afternoon. And we are in agreement here with the number 2 Stableford.
Yes, although there's things not to like about the 2 Stableford, mainly the fact that he's been a money burner,
right.
And outside of 2 daylight scores for his previous trainer, Jorge Navarro, who's obviously very, very tough to claim off of and improve, let alone keeping a horse at that current form cycle. When they were with Navarro, he has left quite a bit to be desired. But again, I just thought, even though he's burned some money at short prices, his consistency in a field like this, it has to account for something, and that's why I took the 2 Stableford on top, who does have, at least early on, had Luis Saez, and I think Luis is riding.
He did.
Yeah.
No, I missed him from. We were trying to figure out when he was riding today, and I missed him in the second race.
He's live, man. Come on. Him and Richie DePass, they're super live with the British-bred Stableford.
Leading rider, Luis Saez. So Stableford, for all the reason, he's been knocking on the door in 3 of those 4 starts. The only miscue when he had that trouble, going 6 furlongs on February 5th. So I think he's the logical one in there. You know, you're going to have to take that short price, and you make a great point, burning the chalk. The horse I used in second was the 3, El Senor del Cielos, who's stepping up and turning back. He edged away last time out. He defeated 6,253 lifetime claimers, going 3/4 of a mile. But it's that big jump up. I just thought that the reason I didn't put him on top of the ticket, because he's got to go from the condition to the open company, and that's a little tough step.
Is it? Because I wanted to ask you, again, I'm still kind of getting my sea legs beneath me, especially in these lower level claiming races at Gulfstream Park, and even some of the barns I'm very unfamiliar with. And my question, I'm glad you brought it up on the air, was going to be how much of a difference are those restricted, say, 3 lifetime claimers that horse is coming out of versus the open 6,250 claimers that he's in against today.
It's a big jump. It's a big jump, and you go on and you could look, and someone asked the other day, how many times do you think, what percentage? And you're guessing, of course. And I said it's probably about only 8 or 10% where horses would get their 3 lifetime condition and go right on and win their next one. So it's usually the exception to the norm. Now the 4 Shere Khan, who you have in second, is cutting back to 5.5. He bumped at the start. He made that move in the stretch. He got shuffled back. It's Paco Lopez this afternoon.
Yeah, Paco's back aboard, and I think that is a major bullet in the holster of the number 4 Shere Khan, who's got that big win underneath Paco, 2 starts back. He does have the quick turnaround to deal with here, and maybe that's a bit of a negative as he only ran 6 days ago. I still put him second. And third, and I used this horse on that early pick 5 play, the number 6 More Applause. Not my horse, obviously horse players. All of us have pretty strong opinions on where we would run other people's horses. It just seems like they're finally putting him in a spot, if he can still run it all, that he'll show up with an okay effort. Because this is a horse, again, at a first glance, had spent the bulk of 2016 just way over his head.
Right.
Big priced odds in races where he was just outclassed by a mile. If he's ever going to show life, it'll be against this group in race 2.
I left him off. I have to watch another one from him. I'll put it that way. Let's go to race 3 this afternoon. 6 furlong claimers, fillies and mares, 4 and up, non-winners of 3 in life, or a race since September 17, 12-5. So a targeted condition race in here. And you were talking about Cowtown Spirit, and I think you want to go back and show a spotlight on this.
Well, you look at this mare by Cowtown Cat, and she had been off for well over a year, layoff of about 12.5 months. This was her second start off of that aforementioned layoff, and she showed in a big win, and this was not a cakewalk of a trip. She was hounded down inside every step of the way, but still overcame it and blew the doors off a comparable group. They stepped her up last time. They protected her. She didn't run as well today. And again, still getting my bearings beneath me as far as these lower level claiming races go. But I think for 12,500, she wins today at a very short price and is likely going home for dinner in a new barn.
Well, Sandra Sifka, who I had so much success with over the summer, she started a lot of horses, and she was one of my favorite trainers during the summer. She didn't start a lot. She had a very high percentage, and I think you're right on there. With that said, I definitely used this horse on my ticket in second, but, we got our basically the same trifecta box. I did go with Kentucky Dancer, making the 3rd start of our current form cycle after responding to both that surface switch and a turn back in distance with a positive 3rd place finish at this level in distance. So, turning back, I just thought maybe this one, 3rd off the bench, was the one to beat in here. Certainly using Cowtown Spirit, and we both used the 2 Fulfilled Fantasy.
But again, and Fulfilled Fantasy may be, in fact, she looks like the speed of the speed. And if she does win, I would imagine, or any horse outside the 5 Cowtown Spirit wins, in my mind, it would be wiring Cowtown Spirit over a main track that is obviously very kind and seems to be very much tilted to horses with early speed.
Tilted.
Yeah, tilted.
I like it. 4th race this afternoon.
Let's get on to the 4th. Come on.
5 furlongs on the turf, maiden special weight, 3-year-olds in here. Now, we do have a scratch in here of the number 5, Little Chesney. And you on top of your ticket, you do have the number 6, Infusion. And I know you have a backtrack that you want to show.
Yeah, we'll show the turf debut of this gray colt by Old Fashioned, who ran very well last time. We've got the field rounding the far turn. Lost a tough one that day at over 20-1, but hung in there gamely to the end. Now, I will readily admit this was a race that we're looking at back on February 5th, in which horses from off the pace really never got a call, and it was a race that the pace very much held together. All in all, a good effort, I think, any way you slice it, even though the pace held together. And what Infusion has going for him today in a fairly short field on the turf, he has got a solid turf race in a group of horses that are basically, for the most part, unknowns on the turf. And that's why I took him. There's really, at least in my mind, that was such a big step forward for him in his turf debut. I know he'll handle the grass, where outside of Infusion, you're left with the first-time turfer who you took for Tony Dutrow, and a couple of first-time starters going out for trainers. Eddie Keneally's very good first time out, but I'd like to see I'd like to see each, the number 2 Storm and McLean and the 3 Fly-Off, get a race under their belt before I back them.
Well, let me tell you about the 7, as you mentioned, Big Handsome. He's son of Street Boys. What I found intriguing about this horse, he's debuting on the turf, as you mentioned. He trained for his sophomore debut in Florida at Payson Park. All his training was at Payson Park. Ships up to Aqueduct, stalks the pace, fades to finish 4th, going 6 furlongs. That's on the winterized inner track at Aqueduct. Tony Dutrow, Javier Castellano. Want to show you a stat on this horse, on Tony Dutrow, excuse me, over the last 5 years. A little bit of a cautionary stat in here. He's 4 for 28, 14%, 32% in the money, only $1.36 RI. I was intrigued the fact that this horse was down here all winter, trains, goes up, runs on the inner track, comes back, goes on the turf.
Why, though? Why be intrigued off that? I don't get. I'm not following your logic.
I'm just seeing is that some kind of move that I think might be come to fruition today. I just thought that. So, you know, and here's the reasoning. You have to be acclimated to the South Florida conditions when you come up. You come down here from any other place in the wintertime or something like that. It takes time, takes 2 or 3 races to get acclimated. This horse has been at Payson Park, goes up, does this, comes back. So, you know, Tony Dutrow, as I mentioned, the stats not that great, but it was sort of like intriguing to me. So I put it on a ticket. Did I leave Enfusion off? No.
Yeah, you can't. I think if you're playing multis, obviously off that solid turf debut, and the speed in a short field going 5 on the grass, and Fusion's got that going for him as well. We'll see with Tony Dutrow. An excellent trainer. Be honest, he's had a quiet winter here at Gulfstream Park, and it seems maybe over the last year or so, just kind of at least on the major circuits, his horses have lacked that little extra oomph. And last thing you want to do, and it's always I think a delicate balance as a horse player, is get lost in a maze of statistics because information is so readily available. But to take your sort of cautionary stat a step further, how about this one? Over the last 5 years, and this is a great trader. I'm a big fan of Tony Dutrow, but first-time turfers in maiden races, the barn just 1 for 47 for 2%.
He's trying to talk me off my pick here, no.
No, I mean, and again, you know, the race he caught at Aqueduct, pretty good field. That Cloud Computing ran a with a perfect trip, but ran a very nice race in the Gotham. Yeah, that horse was second in the Gotham, behind J. Boy's Echo.
Well, let's go to the 5th. Mile in the 16th. We explained to you why. This is fun. You know, I'm going to go with the 6 on my ticket too, Enfusion, but I'm going with the 7. And we'll know a little later on who was right about that. Mile in the 16th on the turf. This is race 5. Claimers 4 and up. Non-winners of 3 in life. $6,250. Now, let me tell you why I went with the number 1 in here, Sir Hanoun. This one is dropping to the $60,250 level, stretching out to a mile in the 16th with the tactical speed needed to use the inside post to his advantage. He's got the 10-pound apprentice, Abimael Medina in the iron. I think they're just going to go with this horse. They're just going to go, and my idea is if he's facing the world beaters, it's non-winners at 3 life, this horse is going to go. I'm looking at a total speed play.
Yeah, if I could redo or if I was going to add another horse onto that pick 5 play, because I will be candid here, I didn't have a clue in this race. And for this race, it's a real dilemma for me playing the pick 5, and I will play that ticket I put in over at expressbet.com that kicks off in the first race. I didn't have a clue here. I went 4 deep, and look, having a 10-pound bug rider, all journeys, all careers start in the beginning. I just didn't know what to do with the 1 Sir Hanoun. So I'll take the number 3 here by Intadab, whose recent races are okay. He's back on a fast track, but this was a race again, Ron, I had a tough time making heads or tails of anyone. I went 3, 4, 7, and 8, and I'm going to use all 4 horses on that pick 5 play.
You know what we have down here in South Florida? It's called the all button.
Yep. Yep.
Let's
just buy the race. Sometimes that all button is your best friend, but it's the classic horse player lament, the races that you actually just buy the race with the all button.
This favorite comes in.
You know the chalk is getting it done, my friend.
Let's take a short break. We'll come back and show you my Rainbow 6 ticket.
At ExpressBet, we celebrate the champions that make horse racing great. That's why we provide more ways to bet from more places than ever. We've built an entire family of brands to give players more of the rewards they deserve, give bettors the information they need to win, and provide a community for horse bettors. Because the best way to support the champions of horse racing is to champion horse racing. ExpressBet. We are racing.
Welcome back to Gulfstream. Today, Ron Nicoletti, along with Jason Blewett, who's here for the weekend, and it's going to be, so far, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have a great weekend. There's plenty of racing. Don't worry. Plenty of racing to go around here at Gulfstream Park. 11 today and a combined 26 races over Saturday and Sunday.
That's no problem for us.
No. We're seasoned pros. Not your first rodeo for sure. You've been in the industry a long time. In fact, I remember back in the day when I was in high school, many moons ago, your picks would be during wintertime at Aqueduct.
That's right.
Your Gulfstream plays would be in the Aqueduct program, and lo and behold, you're still here cranking out winners, my friend.
I was only 12 when I started that. Race 6 this afternoon.
Seabiscuit days, right?
7 furlongs. I'm going to ignore all things about age. 7 furlongs maiden claim is 3-year-olds. $16,000. We're going to start the Rainbow 6 with an 8-horse field. Let's quickly go to my ticket here, and $43.20. I'm always stuck on $43. Too deep here. I went with the 3 and 4. We were talking before we came on the air. My 3-horse in here, 15-1 on the morning line. We'll see how that works out. And you see the rest of the progression as it goes down. $43.20. Couldn't find that single that I like to find each and every day. So here's where we start the Rainbow 6. Over $600,000 in this pool. What do? I put a 15-1 shot on my ticket. But I know you started it off in here, I believe, with the number 5 horse.
Yeah, I took the firster for Bill Mott. Bill Mott, known as one of the most legendary trainers, certainly in my lifetime, and would be on, if I was to give you a Mount Rushmore of trainers, his face would be fixed upon that. That being said, his game has never really been winning first time out. But, little stat, again, digging a little deep over on Daily Racing Form's formulator, Bill Mott's been very selective and sharp with his first time starting maiden claimers on the dirt. He's 4 for his last 15, just under 30%. And needless to say, this is one of 2 major players in the 6th race today by To Honor and Serve. And this horse, Delta Force, certainly named like he'd be a good horse. It's kind of a bummer with the name Delta Force that he's debuting in a maiden 16. But he need not be a monster, my friend. We don't need to call the Navy SEALs in to win a race like this. If he can show anything, I think he'll prove best.
Well, let me tell you about my 15-1 shot here. This is the 3 Chi May. And as Jason told you, I've been following my analysis for the last 212 years. This, you know I love key races. This one's making his first start. He finished 4th behind a repeat winner called Tranquilo, who's been very impressive in his levels. And a couple of next out winners, one called Icano and one called Ohio, is a key race at the same level and distance. And I'm sort of flat. This horse is flattered by those horses coming back and running well. And that was my theory in here. So I put Chi May on top of my ticket, and I also used the 4 King Hood on my ticket. Now, I know you had interest in the number 1 in here, and that's a geopolitical, and you want to go back and show this horse's last race.
I think it's very worthwhile and noteworthy to show this horse's last start back on March 5th. We'll pick this one up from the gate. He is the number 4, and this was a case where he just had a very taxing trip. Isn't off all that alertly. He's sent up going 5.5 furlongs and just kind of winds up in those yellow silks and yellow cap in no man's land, where he's like really having to force the pace inside the eventual winner, who actually cleared off in Shot Jack. He's got to steady off him entering the far turn. And despite really pulling, I thought, a trip where he was just on an impossible hard chase from the get-go, I was really encouraged that he never really backed down. Problem is, that was made in 12.5, and I'm curious, in your mind, knowing, again, the horse population down here, we can see geopolitical, get a little blind switch, and he'll check in to run 3rd. How much of a difference horses he faced in this group for the 12.5 versus the 16 today? Was this a much easier race?
It's not that big a jump to say, like, you know, through the condition races. You know, so it's okay. I mean, 12.5 and 16, depending on who's in the field, or sometimes level, because certain guys are looking for certain distances and they have a 12.5 and a 16. They keep it in there, and you see geopolitical ran a pretty good race in there. So I don't see it as a major jump up. You know, it's more important, I think, if the horse has speed or lack of speed to that level. Now, when you get to 20, 25, it's a different ball game.
Right.
But that 12-5, 16, 12-5 being the bottom 16, next jump up, I think they're okay, you know, unless some have been struggling in that bottom level condition.
Yeah,
know?
well, clearly his last race, his dirt debut on the main track at Gulfstream, not a struggle. He ran well, and if he can take that very modest jump up to 16, and again, he's got to deal with that rotten inside post going 7. It's just a bad spot to be. I think he'll run well. And we do need to mention the number 6 flying to honor. I mean, the utmost respect to Daily Racing Form's Mike Welsh, who wears many hats during this championship meet at Gulfstream Park, clocking, news stories, doing picks, and he's got this horse, if I'm not mistaken, as his best bet today after flying to honor. Clearly ran, was a big price, but ran in a maiden special weight. That was a grade 1 Pegasus Arrogate quality field compared to this crew today.
Well, one other one I want to mention in here is Noble Dave is dropping to the 16 level on the main track following a third place showing in a 25 maiden test on the dirt. He comes back, he runs 6, going 5 furlongs. Want to show you a stat on Eddie Plessis Jr. Turf to dirt sprints at Gulfstream Park, so I specialized it. He's 6 for 28, pretty good, 21%, 46% in the money, and a positive return of investment of $2.21. So a good stat there. Let's go to race number 7, 6 furlongs. These are claimers 4 and up, non-winners of 2 in life, or 4-year-olds, and $30,000 down to $25,000. And this is where you have your final pick 5 ticket of the afternoon.
Yeah, it'll get underway in race number 7. You know, being a New Yorker, not many cards back home at this time of the year kick off a brand new pick 5 late in the day, or fairly late in the day. We'll do that in race 7. A very modest $12 play. Wasn't very confident in the last race, and we've got a single in race number 9 that we'll get to. But as far as race number 7 goes, I'm using Piccadilly Roadster, the 1, and the 5 Grand Nene, and it's really, I think, all about the rematch off their last out effort on February 26th. You had Piccadilly Roadster, Ender, and Grand Nene, who worst trip is probably a little overblown, but clearly that stumble and awkward break really put him behind the 8 ball. And we'll check it out from the gate. In fact, we'll basically show the whole race.
Yeah, well, I switched to the thing, but you'll see it now come out of the gate. It's the number 8 that afternoon. And I kept the pan because you actually see it more in the pan shot. You know, just I thought was compromised at the start in there. And, you know, comes back and top of the stretch to the wire where we pick it up. As you mentioned, gets beat by Piccadilly Roadster and Ender, who, you know, were both in that race. And I just thought off that performance, this horse closed very well in there to be on the board after that troubled start. So I put it on top. I also used Piccadilly Roadster, and I threw in He's Cotton on my ticket. But I think you're right. The 1 and 5 are the 2 horses that you sort of have to pay attention to, and that's a good. I mean, I would go the same way on my ticket. I had them both on my Rainbow Six.
Yeah, no question. I mean, being reclaimed, and that's probably, you would think, a positive. Always nice when a trainer, even one batting about 9% for the meet, sees fit to jump back in and take a consistent kind of horse in Grand Nene. And talking about Jose Garofalo, and with the cleaner break and Javier back aboard, you know this horse is going to be more forwardly placed. That's not really his game, coming from as far back as he was last time. So tactically, he'll pull a better trip. That being said, though, Piccadilly Roadster, and he got a great ride that day from Corey Lanerie. I mean, he decimated that field. I mean, yes, it was the inside sort of pocket to 4-wide angle, and he ran away. But, man, he was so much better, even with the stumble at the start, than Grand Nene. I had a hard time seeing that horse turn the tables on Piccadilly Roadster. So it's back to Dale Romans we go, one of our favorites. You picked Dale earlier in the day, and I'll take him here, and it's good to see him batting above 20% for the meet.
He's had a great meet along with Corey Lanerie, and those two teaming up. Race 8 this afternoon, 1 mile and 1/16th on the turf. Starter optional claimer 4 and up, or that optional claiming price of $35,000. Now we had the scratch bird attack this race here. We're going to scratch the 3 Class and Cast, the 6 Little Baltar, and the 7 Testosterone, which was my long shot play of the day in here. But I know we both like the number 4, and that is Quiet Force.
In talking about reacquisitions and mentioning Grand Nene and Jose Garofalo in race number 7, would be remiss not to give a big little plug, at least as far as how I think the 4 Quiet Force is going to run today, with Mike Maker off a trainer change, getting a horse back, and now 7-year-old son, a Dynaformer, who he had trained previously and lost off a victory at Gulfstream Park. about 13 and a half months ago in early February of 2016. Mike Maker, former student and pupil of the legendary D. Wayne Lucas, coming out of that operation along with so many of the contemporary great trainers in the game. He is, as far as turf racing goes, in my mind, one of the preeminent barns in the United States. And getting a chance to get a guy off a trainer change who had success with a pretty tough old hard-knocking campaigner in the past, too good to pass up. How much, however, does the pace change with those scratches here in race number 8?
It changes, but it doesn't change that much because you look at the horses that stayed in. There's still horses that need to be on the lead in that race. Now, with the scratches of both the number 3 and the 6, those were both speeds. There's other speed in here. So Quiet Force, you know, I think still can carve out a good trip. Now, 8-1 in the morning line, and Jason and I were licking our chops when we saw it was 8-1 in the morning line. You're not going to get that in here. Want to show you a quick stat on Mike Maker. As you mentioned, first start after the trainer switch on the turf. He's 12 for 79, 15%, 44% in the money. Only $1.90 ROI because they bet him here. This horse, I love this horse today when all the speed was in this race. Now, but you look at my point exactly. He's stretching out to a mile in the 16th. He led virtually every step of the way to defeat 35 claimers at 7.5. You go to Silver Dagger. He's another speed merchant from the Dale Romans bar, as we mentioned. So there is still speed in here. Air Bueno has to sit closer in this race. Now, with the other 2 horses, when they weren't scratched, this race set up so perfectly for Quiet Force, it wasn't funny. I would have singled him.
And he still may pull a great trip. And in fact, in our eyes, he's going to pull the right kind of trip, being reunited with Mike Maker and have you like. Now, as a longtime, Naira boy here, have you liked what you've seen with young Jose Ortiz? Are you a believer now that he's set up shop, at least temporarily, down here in South Florida?
He's the best. He's your best. He's over there, and, he rides great. He just puts the horses in the perfect right spot.
And you'll probably get that today with Quiet Force, assuming nothing silly happens at the break. And I do think Air Bueno, his chances are clearly upgraded. It's a smaller field, obviously. He's going to pull a good trip, too, post-scratches, and can stay up close with the Class and Cash Out, because that horse would have been pretty tough to run down.
Let's go to 9. 5 furlongs turf, maiden special weight, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Scratch the 5, Love and Lemons. Stellar performance. Going to go back and show you this horse's performance. Turned for home to the wire, finishes 3rd behind a next out stakes winner in here. I'm going to show you. I thought she just ran a good race. And just see here, nowhere to go.
No position at all.
No position at all. Just looking for a spot. And, as I mentioned, Delphinia comes back and wins a stake up at Turfway Park. But wins, Wesley Wardhorse wins it by like 7 lengths. So it wasn't on the turf. It was just something I wanted to point out. And I just thought the 3 ran exceptionally well, just having nowhere to run throughout the whole race. And there you see it closing to be, coming up. So I just thought with a clean trip, that the 7 today was the way to go.
And for an Eric Gio firster, who's not really known for his success or prowess with first-time starters, thought that was a very solid debut. And again, it doesn't hurt to pull up the young trip doctor in Jose Ortiz. And he's got Jose riding today. And in the words I don't think I've ever uttered before, I am singling for the late pick 5 at Eric Gio horse in the 7 Stellar Performance, because Ron, he's got that solid turf debut and career debut a few weeks ago. You lose the 5 Love and Lemons as a scratch in this race. It's very similar to that initial group of turf 3 and up maidens we looked at earlier in the day, where you just, as far as past racing on the grass, and good racing at that, you don't have much to sink your teeth into. So I do think second time out, the right kind of spot for the 7 Stellar Performance. Any of the firsters grab your attention? Because you've got one here for $200K plus for Mark Cassie and George Weaver, who's got a couple live firsters on today's card.
As you mentioned, this one to Mark Cassie's a $220,000 daughter of Broken Vow. I want to show you a stat on the barn first-time starters on the turf, maiden special weight at Gulfstream Park. 3 for 27, a limited sampling, 11%, 22% in the money. Only a 70-cent ROI, which makes, to me, Stellar Performance look a little better in there. A couple of races to go, so let's quickly go to race number 10 this afternoon. 7 furlong starter, optional claimer, 4 and up starter for $8,000 or less, or that optional claiming price, $12,500. Defer Heaven. You have some interest. You want to go back and show you this horse's performance from, I think, the quarter pole to the wire.
Yeah, and the claiming crown here back in December. Very solid effort, and this is a name and a tough old hard-hitting 7-year-old gelding who is one of many veterans who have really, for the most part, found a home with trainer Jorge Navarro. Has done an outstanding job with this horse. And it's really been a case of, with Defer Heaven, he's been all or nothing. 19 lifetime wins from 36 starts, 1 second, and a pair of thirds. So you're getting a win, or you're getting likely an off-the-board finish today. And I think, at least going into today's 10th run, this race, and it's our last dirt race on the card, by the way, it's as simple as 2 words, or maybe 4 or 5. What do you get from Defer Heaven? Because they got the 10-pound bug rider on. His last race at 3 to 5 was bad. He's been laid up, and again, they bring him back, not for a tag, but they bring him back with the 10-pound bug rider. Might we be seeing Defer Heaven starting to go this way?
Well, right, but I think this is a good spot for it because you read the conditions of the race, you know, started for $8,000 or less. I think this is a good level. And you mentioned the apprentice, Manny Jimenez. They won a race again yesterday together, these connections. They've, I think he's ridden from 3 times and won 2 of them. They're going to put this horse on the lead. That's their I think, what
come
they
and
got.
Get him. Yeah, sure.
Come and get him in there. Just want to go mention Papa Pig. Papa Pig is going to try and make it 2 in a row. He's going to come running late. He's a fan favorite here. If Defer Heaven is, as you said, heading that way, maybe it sets up for a horse like Papa Pig. I want to go back real quickly and show you a performance of Ravella's Boy, who's turning back to 7 furlongs. And I'm going to show you to the wire. He steadies along the railing here. You're going to see him. He's the number 2 horse that day, and he just really was not comfortable. I mean, and he comes out, and I think he runs okay that day. So I wanted to just go back and show you that. You know, he had an impressive 3-race win streak before that. He finished that game second last time out. Had a little bit of trouble on the rail. Hard to see it there, but I just thought it was something we'd re-show you. And it's a game horse.
A good group here of just seasoned veterans, heart and soul of the game. This is a good one coming up in race number 10, led off by the 8-year-old Ravella's Boy. You've got Defer Heaven in the mix, who's 7 by Defer, and Papa Pig, who you want to talk about. I get why he's a fan favorite around here. In addition to just being one of those late charging, closing sprinters, he runs all the time. I mean, 25 races last year in 2016, and 25 career starts right here on the main track at Gulfstream Park. My kind of crew in race number 10, and quite a few hours from now, I'll be looking forward to that race.
Well, Papa Pig, I didn't pick him last time, and I'm still smarting over that because I always picked him, and I got off him last time, and everybody else picked him. He got the job done. Our final race on Friday on St. Patrick's Day, 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Maiden claim is 3-year-olds, $20,000. Clean slate in here, 9 runners, no scratches, no jockey changes. I went with the 9 Campaigners Gold along with you, turning back to 7.5. Couple of solid efforts in a mile and a 16th. He weakened to finish 4th and 3rd, respectively. Trainer Jose Pinch and Luis Saez handling the rematch. Luis Saez just been riding great form throughout the whole meet.
Yeah, the meet he's had, and he and his agent, Richard DePass, have clearly done an amazing job. And I would say once the championship meet ends and Luis heads back to New York to ply his trade at Belmont and back north, he's probably at a different level as far as his confidence goes than he's ever been before. I mean, he could really, and he's been a top rider in the game for quite a few years. I mean, he's not a new face by any means, but I do think Luis Saez, by virtue of doing so well down here, has entered sort of the next phase or chapter of his career, and it will be fun to watch to see where he goes and what he might do down the road in 2017. But as far as Campaigners Gold, looking at this race on paper, don't want to be too hard. I say this with peace and love to these horses. It's probably a case of him, A, landing in the right spot, B, handling the trip, and C, again, with peace and love, outslowing this crew to the wire here in race number 11.
Yeah, we basically have our, trifecta the same with Azabaldo in second. You got him in third. Skipper Dancer in there. So we'll see if the number 9 Campaigners Gold can get the job done. Well, that's how we see the.
What price is this horse, by the way, on the line? 2 to 1.
2 to 1.
Yeah, no, nice conservative 2 to 1. Clear favorite on the line. He'll be probably shorter than that this afternoon with Saez in the nightcap, and it's you and me all day today, buddy boy, through Sunday. Yeah.
Hey, let us know how we did here, and this is our first time together. It's going to get better and better and better, and we're going to get a couple of little fights between us, but good luck. We'll be back in just a little while. I'm going to turn it over to Pete Aiello. He's going to give you all the updated scratches that you need to have a fun day here. Once again, happy St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, I've got no green on whatsoever. You do, though, and thanks for repping. I got the freckles, some Irish blood in me, no doubt about that. And have a great day and weekend here at Gulfstream Park, everybody. And Pete Aiello, like you said, coming up next with a reprise, Scratches and Changes.
We have to take care of these horses that, give us so much joy.
Being accredited